So, I am a huge fan of the Xenoblade Chronicles games. I love the first 3 games to pieces, especially the third one. One of the few video games I've ever cried at. It's probably my favorite game, like, ever, actually. Now that I think about it, that's probably my favorite game ever. But that's besides the point. But one that I was never really a fan of was Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, which I tried it. Like, I picked it up before the Wii U eShop shut down. I was never really into the MMO elements of it. I didn't really like the sci-fi angle, and I was also kind of miffed that we got a spin-off as the second ever Xenoblade game instead of a proper sequel. But yeah, I played it for a couple hours, and I didn't really enjoy it. I also got stuck at, like, one part, which, you know, I was also a bad gamer at the time. Don't judge me. I hadn't even played Breath of the Wild yet. But when they announced a definitive port for Nintendo Switch, I was very excited. I wanted to see this series grow, and it was pretty much the only game in the series, or actually, yeah, it was the only game in the series that you couldn't play on the Nintendo Switch up to that point. So I was very glad that it was finally coming over in a definitive form. A little late in the system's life. I was expecting it like a couple years earlier, but a lot of ports and remakes in the final years of the Nintendo Switch, so that makes sense. I didn't play it at launch because mainly I was buying it to, support Xenoblade at launch. Buy it near launch. They get my full $60 for a new game, and it shows in their sales data. I'm not going to play it at launch. I don't really have time to play it right now, but I'll get it anyway. And after I beat Donkey Kong Bonanza recently, I figured, hey, I'll look back on some of my old Switch catalog while I'm waiting for new games to come out for the Nintendo Switch 2. So I was like, oh, this is a game that came out this year that I haven't played yet. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I pop it in. I'm actually really enjoying the game, and I've got past the part I was stuck on, and I'm enjoying the game a lot more than I did on the Nintendo Wii U. But the game did get like a kind of Switch 2 update. It didn't get like a performance patch, per se. Like, it doesn't run at 60 FPS and 4K or 1440p or whatever, but it does now run at like a solid 30 frames per second with no dips, and it runs at 1080p on docked mode. And I just gotta say, I think getting a PS5 recently and playing some more games on there, as well as like the Nintendo Switch 2, and playing on emulators and things like that, I think it's ruined 30 FPS for me. Because I'm pretty sure the Wii U game also ran at 30 FPS, but something about it here just feels wrong this time. It just looks not that good. The game itself has really good looking environments and stuff like that. Controls good and stuff like that. I enjoy the story. I'm enjoying everything about the game. I'm not enjoying the frame rate. It just feels weird to not see 60 after being used to 60 for so long, because remember, I was mainly a Nintendo fan. I didn't even own a modern PlayStation until a couple years ago. So I'm used to like some Switch games just running at 30 FPS or even lower sometimes, like 24 FPS. And I generally didn't mind. I liked 60, but like I didn't mind if a game ever like did a locked 30. As long as it wasn't like stuttery, I never had a problem with 30 FPS frame rate. But now, going back and now finally playing a game that's 30 FPS, especially on a console that can far surpass that now, is just, it's very jarring. It's very jarring to go back to, and I think 30 FPS has forever been ruined for me, and it'll hard for me to go back to a game that uses 30 FPS. I'm looking at you, Yokai4. Please, if you published a Switch game out there, developers, please, if you're able to, release a 60 FPS patch, because I don't know if I can take 30 FPS anymore. And I'll gladly take this as like a Nintendo L. I know people are going to be clowning on me on the comments for being a Nintendo shill. I'm really not. The Switch, I can see, had an excuse because, it was a portable device and it was pretty underpowered. But now I don't think there's any excuse for your game to not run at a solid 60 frames per second. So to any of you developers out there that have published a Switch game, please release a Switch 2 update to make it run at 60 FPS. Please. It's just not a standard that needs to be adhered to anymore, and I really like to enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles X at 60 frames per second. Thank you, Monolith Soft, for your time.